Hello and welcome to Nazaria on Air. I'm Kashish.
And I'm Chancellor.
Today we have with us a very evident personality and our esteemed guest, Dr. S.Y. Quraishi. Dr. Quraishi here is a man wearing a plethora of insignias on his collar. He is the 17th Chief Election Commissioner of our country, an IAS officer, a secretary in the Ministry of the Youth Affairs and Sports, and of course the Chancellor of IILM University, Gurugram. Sir, it's an absolute honor to have you with us today.
My pleasure.
How are you doing?
Very well. That particularly after meeting youngsters like you.
Your professional accolades are of public and popular knowledge, and everybody knows you as the CEC of the country. But what we'd like to know, at least to start off the interview, is you as a person. So let's go back to your childhood, where you've hailed from, you as the alumnus of St. Stephen's and Jamia Millia University, and what guided you to choose this career path?
First of all, when you say how am I as a person, I would say I'm a nice person. All right. So, well, I joined St. Stephen's College basically with the intention of joining the IAS.
Okay.
Because those days, the history honors class of St. Stephen's College was considered the nursery of the IAS. Almost 80% of us landed up in various services. So that is what I did. Much later, after joining the service, 20 years later, I thought of doing PhD. And since my subject was new and unique and it was not an academic subject anywhere, so no university would touch me.
Right.
So, but I had a friend in the Department of Social Work in Jamia Millia Islamia who said, I can take you, almost like a back door, because my subject was social marketing, which is quite, basically for social good, social welfare. So it was indirectly and directly actually the right subject and right department. So he took me there and I did my PhD much later. I joined the IAS in 71 and I did my PhD in 91.
Okay.
So, sir, we all know that you had an esteemed career as an IAS officer. So, could you share some stories that you experienced or some lessons that you learned?
Yeah, actually, IAS is to me the best possible career for young people because of the variety of experience that it gives you. In any other job, you join it in the first year and you retire after 35 years doing the same job.
Yeah.
Here in the IAS, today you are Director of Agriculture, tomorrow you may be Director of Information Technology, third day Industry, Fishery, Animal Husbandry, you name it, Education. So, which means that every time you move to another department, you have to learn something. And you can't be a head of the department, you cannot be a leader without having the knowledge. If you are illiterate about the subject, they won't respect you. So you have to learn and learn very fast. So you never go stale because every move makes you learn something new.
So, what is your journey to success in cracking the UPSC exam in the first place? There are many aspiring UPSC candidates each year. So, what word of advice would you give to them based on your experience?
Well, I have, in my time it was a bit different. Of course, it was quite difficult those days also. But then we could choose subjects. For instance, history gave us an advantage. Why history honors was the nursery? Because history gave us 2 extra papers.
Okay.
History and political science or political thought. So I took political thought and British constitutional history. So knowledge of constitution. So those were different days. Hard work, sustained work. You don't have to work 14 hours a day. That's not what is required. 5-6 hours of sincere, solid study is all you need. And try and understand what you are reading, what you are studying. Write down in your own hand. That is the best way to remember. So that's what it is.
So, sir, we know that you cracked the UPSC exam successfully. So, are there any aspirations or tricks that you want to tell aspiring candidates?
Yeah, I would think that now it is increasingly difficult to get to the civil services because the number of people aspiring for it and competing for it has increased. Now, it starts with 1 million people.
Yeah.
taking the application form, and some of them then drop out. Maybe 8 lakhs fill the form, 6-7 lakhs appear, and some make it to the interview. So then now imagine 1 million people appearing for 100 IS seats. There may be another 100 in the police and 40-50 in foreign service and others, altogether 1,000 or 800 seats. So for 800 seats, 1 million people competing, it does make it difficult. Obviously, then the best are able to make it. But unlike our time when we had to get into the service between 21 and 24, our window was only 3 years. Now up to 10 years, 12 years, 6 attempts, 7 attempts, the service is running after you, and so that makes it a lot more possible for you. Although personally I feel that so many attempts and till such a late age is not a very good idea, because somebody who I joined at 22 and somebody joins at 32, you can be sure he will never be Secretary to Government of India. We would have retired before that, because there is a retirement age. So reducing the age of entry and reducing the number of attempts, I think it will be ideal, because I have been doing some mock interviews for Byju's recently for the last 2 years, and about 3,000 people were called for interviews every year. So at least 1/3 of them came to us every year. So after interviewing 2,000, some people made it in 5th attempt, 6th attempt. So and initially they did very badly. Some people do very well in the 5th or 6th attempt. So, but at the same time, I've seen the brightest children are those who are coming in the very first attempt, just after the BA.
Definitely.
So to me they are the best.
Alright, so let's come to your tenure as the Chief Election Commissioner of the country. What are some challenges perhaps that you faced in your tenure during that period?
My tenure apart, Election Commission has the biggest job on hand, and the Indian election is the biggest election of the world.
Absolutely.
And not only the biggest election of the world, it is the biggest management event of the world of any kind, because the kind number of people who are involved. Do you know our staff is 12 million? 12 million government servants are our staff. We have to watch over them, and we expect zero error election from them.
Absolutely.
Zero error means zero error. 99.9% good election is a bad election for us, because if it's 0.1% is bad election, means thousands of people are not able to vote.
Right.
You are being denied your voting right. So that is not acceptable. So to conduct such a big exercise, we are like 90 countries rolled into one. We have more voters than all 50 countries of Europe put together, 54 countries of Africa put together, and 43 countries of North and South America put together. So we are actually 90 countries into one. So, and complexity of 90 countries of different kinds of problems, we have them all. And despite that, to be able to do a peaceful and credible election is a great achievement which the whole world acknowledges.
Sir, what are some words of advice that you want to give to young aspirants who are willing to do better for the country?
Well, you are talking of aspiring civil servants?
Yeah.
Yeah. First, of course, they have to learn the art of preparing. Of course, they have to know the subject for sure, which is expected. If you've done your BA honors or MA or something, so you're expected to know the subject. You have to improve your general knowledge. So whatever be your preference, service preference, or even suppose you can't make it to the civil service, you will apply for the private sector. But basic personality, the general knowledge is a common expectation. So being aware of what is happening, reading newspapers, at least 1 or 2 newspapers and good quality newspapers. And I advise them to start a diary, physical diary, where pick up 5 news items of the day And for if you pick up Indian Express, for instance, that is the most recommended papers and most widely read paper by the civil service aspirants, because it has 2-3 pages dedicated to you, which explains the news behind the news and what goes on, the background. So pick up 5 items, write in your own hand, 1 item, 1 page, and keep going over it again and again. So that will keep you up to date with the news and current affairs. So and of course, find time to relax. Also, you will play some games. You do that. Don't waste time on WhatsApp and social media. That is total waste of time. But do watch television sometime. Go and see movies. But outdoor sports will be the best. So that will keep you fresh. And at least 6-7 hours a day of dedicated work. If you can work more without getting tired, better.
So as you rightly mentioned, we have the largest and yet such a smoothly functioning electoral system, and that's a very proud moment for us as Indians. What reforms do you think are yet to be implemented to uphold the credibility maybe and deter any electoral frauds that happen?
There are 2-3 things we need to do. One, of course, is improving voter turnout even more. Because in the last general election we read 67%. Why not 77? Why not 80? So we should attempt to do that. Second, we have to control money power in elections. We did take some measures, but they have not been entirely successful because crime is always ahead. So politicians invent new ways. So we need to strengthen that. And thirdly, there is a lot of criminalization of politics. People with criminal background are contesting. They used to first support candidates once upon a time. Then they realize that if people are winning because of their support, why don't they fight themselves and become respectable and become MPs and MLAs? So currently 43% of MPs have criminal cases pending against them. In many cases, several and heinous offences, and according to their own affidavit which they gave to the returning officer. So we need to address that. We have been we have been demanding that the government bring reform, electoral parliamentary reform, debarring them from contesting. So they say that the law of the land is a presumption of innocence. Unless you are proved guilty, you are convicted, you are innocent. So that is their normal stand. But I have a counter question which they haven't been able to answer. In Indian jails today, we have 4 lakh prisoners, of which 70%, 2,70,000, have not yet been convicted. That means they are innocent. Yet they are in jail with 4 of their fundamental rights taken away: right to liberty, freedom of movement, freedom of occupation, right to dignity. Now, within the ambit of law, you have taken away their rights. So right to contest is not even a fundamental right. So if you take it away, if you freeze it for a year or 2 till they get themselves cleared from the court, so they debar them from contesting. Otherwise, the way this number is increasing, I go all over the world when I lecture and people question me on this. I feel very awkward and embarrassed. 43% with criminal cases. That's not a healthy democracy.
True. Sir, you're the author of such best-selling books such as The Population Myth and Undocumented Wonder, and you have an upcoming book. So could you please talk about India's experiment with democracy?
It's called India's Experiment with Democracy, the life of a nation through its election. Now, unlike my first book, An Undocumented Wonder, which was a generic book in the sense that it starts with evolution, the birth of election commission, its evolution, the problems it faced, and the current and the future, everything. This is based on published articles, mostly published articles, some unpublished also, on hot topics, controversial topics. Hot topics, for instance, these days there is one hot topic is one nation, one election. I've written several articles here. Reservation of women's bill, then selection of election commissioners. That bill has come. was to come, but it has been held back. So the articles on controversial subject or hot topic, split of a party. We remember still Shiv Sena split is still pending in the courts and in election commission. So this book has a different character, and I hope it will be well received.
I hope so too, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for this absolutely enlightening and stimulating conversation. It was again an honor to be with you, to share a room with you. Thank you so much to our viewers as well for tuning in. We hope to see you on our next episode only on Nazaria on Air.